Hey, Nicholas.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry to be late.
No problem at all. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Uh, Very busy and exciting day, but I'm doing good. What about you?
Also about the same. Very busy and very exciting. There's a lot of things going on, so I'm glad you were able to make some time for us to have a little discussion.
Yeah, basically my job is I've been working. So just like to give you background,
Hmm.
I will not start the story on the beginning because it's a long story.
Yeah,
But let's say my IT background, let's say for the last 5 to 7 years. Um, the first background is like true geek, true passionate people, loving immersive, and I think it's like to work with good brand and traveling, being living in Hong Kong for a long time in Asia,
cool.
working having a company in Dubai, a company in France, and some close, some opens, and like a lot of movement. Like always what we can do next. and and then yeah, I mean I'm working for Utopia. So we build a Utopia metaverse is a platform. So now it's become a dab, I would say, for IP using blockchain and stuff. So I live in them, and then I was going to Xola, Los Angeles. So it's like the payment system for all the Roblox, Fortnite, and all the games. And so I was working on this meta site project where we need to use Amazon technology using our own infrastructures and be able to have payment system with orbs, like to be able to find a business plan for how do we pay the pixel streaming, that was the beginning of the story, to be honest. Then, yeah, we tried to scope the thing, but it was too early, too expensive, not market fit at all, but interesting in point of R&D and technically possible limits. It was a lot of education, I would say. um, then on the same time, I have my own company where I'm like mostly like architectures, designers, producers. So I meet with people, I speak about what we can do for this or that, and I try to scope the possibilities, the design, and sharing with people and try to put the infrastructures. Then finding out teams around me, basically to try to ship this. Um, and then yeah, I mean, and scope of UGC, WebGPU, Pixel Streaming, like is how do you deliver his experience you build, or how do you deliver as a product, So build a product for the people using this whole ecosystem of technology, and what is the best way to go web, Steam, Discord, what is your target, So yeah, so this is the background.
Awesome. And yeah, I'm curious a little bit more about the decision chain that led to hosting this experience in the web. So the first thing I'm curious about is how did you decide on Unreal Engine, or why was a game engine chosen to host these experience out of the other options?
To be honest, I mean, I will not be a good advocate, and the problem is scalability,
Hmm.
because it's that, I mean, I will say it's like you build a product, you build something, then you decide how do you deliver this message, okay? So maybe I want this to be GLB, GLTF, or I want it. Okay, so maybe let's start with the beginning before coding, or like the way to choose the rendering and stuff.
Hmm.
Why I would choose a web?
Hmm.
Well, you choose a web because it's a place where everybody can go and everybody know exactly how it can work. It's still a bit darky, it's still a bit, but big name, big platform of makes the game easier because they have built platforms that you can build a microeconomy system around them, like Discord, YouTube, Twitch, whatever, like social media, all of this, making the web more like, yeah, something where you know how to go if you're like a normal user of the web. Like you don't going too deep, you don't try to go on forum or whatever, you just normal web users, like social media, and this where the content is because I watch content and I don't ask him so much more, you know.
Hmm.
But basically, in this space, you can build links, you know, backlinks and stuff. So you can deliver your 3D environment into this space. And then from there, then you will be able to choose what they will do, what I want to propose, what is my goal. You know, like for example, like people in gaming, maybe they want to make people play just by watching a YouTube video. They click and then have access to this pixel streaming demo of the game before they buy it.
Hmm.
Or maybe you're an architect and you want to see like a very authentic and real time possibility to change your environment. You know, like the good thing with Unreal Engine is that this is real times, so it change everything. You know,
Hmm.
like you can custom or like you can do whatever you want in real time. So that's a big cool thing. You know, that Unreal Engine have it. Um, but that's why also it's interesting to yeah. So basically, Unreal Engine it's beautiful. I'm a little bit boring
Hmm.
because everything looks the same
Uh-huh.
sometimes.
Right.
But it's beautiful. But this is beautiful, and you know, like it's and all, at the same time the tool is super cool. You know, like I love the job they are doing with the whole ecosystem, with you know, like the way you buy assets, and you know, like I mean, I think they're a really cool community, and this is a powerful tool. But back to the product and back to what you want to deliver, you're like also need to align with what you want. Scalability, back in the day when it was costing 0.5 cents by hours, it was too much. I'm sorry, I won't be able to sell anything because all the time I say, well, it's gonna be 100, 150. Plus, you need to add the number by users. So if you want to do a marketing activation or publicity activation, where normally it's all starts someday, you know, this technology thing. I mean, it's a good start to try to grow faster. Well, you do this to a publicity of whatever's name is like if you need to have like 20,000 or 30,000 people in a connection. Whoa.
And for the users who may not fully know about pixel streaming, why is it so expensive on the back end? What is leading to that high cost that makes it difficult to scale when you're using pixel streaming in your architecture?
Well, I guess this is a cloud infrastructures, you know, so that's basically also what is making so powerful. But you know, it's when we say cloud, we say speak about hardwares, we're speaking about like GPU, we're speaking about all of this, you know, and so this is at a cost, you know, this all infrastructure at a cost, and then and also ethic question in some way. I
Hmm.
mean, I know that there are not worse at all, you know, but you know, it's still a question on this. But yeah, basically, we're talking about energy here, and I think you know that's why also I'm a true believer in this technology in some way, because I know the pricing will get lower and lower and lower, and I know the energy will come kind of voltaic thing, maybe nuclear, clean nuclear thing or stuff like that. So
Hmm.
basically, we will be able, NVIDIA and stuff will be able to procure super new hardware that will allow to reduce the cost, you know, and be able also maybe to, I mean, I will speak very generally, sorry for the AI expert, but I would just say AI will be able to optimize the
Right.
latency, you know, and so we will reduce what we will pixel stream, you know, so it's just about what is coming and was it, you know, in and out, regarding the infrastructures of the réseau. So if we see what is normally going to happen if we are not going to World War III, um, it's normally, you know, like we will make more cleaner energy, more energy, optimize the GPU. AI will help to manage input and out. And so from there, pricing will low cost down. And so pixel streaming, because of real times and because of we know blockchain behind. Uh, fuck, I should be a rapper about this, but just kidding. But to be honest, like you know, like this is where I think we're gonna go. Um, And WebGPU, it's also really cool. Why? Because but that's why it's making the difference between WebGPU and Pixel Streaming. Is Pixel Streaming is going to your hardware, no, not your hardware. Pixel Streaming going to the cloud. So WebGPU going to your hardware. Sorry, my bad. So that's why also Pixel Streaming, like Pixel Streaming using on this kind of phone is really cool.
Right.
Using on your VR headsets is very cool. So this is accessibility that is offered. Now WebGPU, it's with Kronos Group and the work of Kronos Group of Vulkan and stuff like that, it's moving well. I feel like it's a 3GS of So back in the day, because we speak a lot about this, but I think we should also say that we have 3GS, GLTFs that with Mozilla Hub and stuff since this day have been changing the way we can think about the 3D web. And so again, this depends the vision you have of like what do you want to do, what is your project, like if you want to have a comics book experience of like a beautiful whatever, you can use low poly and you can maybe match some small art making in 3GS whatever, and this will match well. But if you want to explore super new towers made in Abu Dhabi with super glass and lighting and a real rendering, and you want to see this in VR or whatever, maybe use Unreal Engine and Pixel Streaming to deliver this to the hardware. So it's always depending of the message. So no good or bad, but at the end, it will ending maybe also by who makes the more money. I mean, sorry, but in my point of view, sometimes for my client, I need to think about what will be the more optimized for the project, and so because I'm not saying recession, but I'm saying the world is not going in its best way. We see a lot of investment in many places, but I'm speaking about the normal people, the people that are leaving, that open company or closing company, like real trying to do stuff around the world. I think it's important to get this.
Yeah, and yeah, per use case is definitely important because, especially with web GPU, when if you need higher scales like 30,000, that may make way more sense to do web GPU. But I'm curious what your thoughts are. So when we look at web GPU versus WebGL, what's sort of the benefit of using web GPU over WebGL? Um, and how does the quality of web GPU compare to what you could get in pixel streaming? So kind of, what are the differences in quality between WebGL, web GPU, and pixel streaming? What do you think?
Okay, are you a gamers?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I guess you know what PlayStation 1 looked like.
I do.
Okay. So
Uh-huh.
imagine PlayStation. I would be nice. Imagine PlayStation 2. Or
Okay.
maybe Dreamcast. Dreamcast. You remember
Oh
Dreamcast?
yeah. Oh
Crazy
yeah.
Taxi?
Yeah.
Okay.
NBA 2K is what I played for a very
Absolutely.
long time. Yeah.
WebGL is Dreamcast.
Okay.
Then WebGPU will be Xbox One.
Oh, okay.
Maybe no. I mean, it need to be Xbox One. Let's say. But these days, that's what we say on the beginning. The problem with WebGPU is very early. It's working very well because you can integrate this into the Unreal Engine project. Like it's fit with the architecture of Unreal Engine and stuff. So that's really interesting. And so as you say, for scalability and for smaller projects is really cool. But the problem is again is with the hardware. But basically, what I saw so far is that it's working the same as Pixel Streaming, but with a bit of higher latency at some points. But maybe it's come from the coding because it's going to be like more coding thing. When you're working on Unreal Engine, you're working in a closed environment, and you just stream your content. And when
Right.
you're working on WebGPU, you're like having this coding evolution and coding update. But this is the same problem with all the web code, so it's a different ecosystem. So you can come with little bit of more, tricky thing to do. Then when you're inside Unreal Engine, you're like, okay, I'm with my C++ coding, with my whole la la la. So that, and yeah, and WebGL 3GS, it's very. I mean, I love this technology because I think that's where it's all start at some point. Um, so let's see. I mean, it's again like it's depending of the texturing thing, how the lighting you want. It's depending of all of these characters. But what I believe is that maybe tomorrow you will be able to have a very fucking low cost WebGL infrastructures or content, and you will just add AI layers that will transform the thing and trick the thing. Yeah.
Mm.
Image to image, but image to or video to video, or I don't know, call it this. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I just love Gen AI so much that I see this coming very fast.
So you're saying maybe we could stick with WebGL and then just up-res it using AI. So essentially you have an existing technology that's already stable and scalable, and then we just enhance it through generative AI or something like this.
Yeah. And so why is because I see LLM working. I mean, I don't want to speak about this Gimli ChatGPT thing, but you can speak about Flu, you can speak about Midjourney, you can speak about all the 3D draw pick or the whatever, like all this LLM working in the same way, music, video, etc. Like your input, output. Um, well, I see a lot of video and I read a lot of book, but I still forget the vocabulary, so pardon myself for this.
Hmm.
But what I want to say is that, so what is the problem here is that real-time rendering.
Yes,
So
exactly.
that's where the big challenge starts. But
Exactly.
it's like a filters, you know.
Hmm.
So why not? And it will, it's like for me, it's like when you sketch, like you have a book and you sketch a lot of things, like like you sketch your ID, you sketch your whatever. So imagine you'll sketch like you have your story, like your films, your games, your whatever, but all is like just low poly. So you're starting, as you say, with some things that we know that can be customized easier, that don't need a lot of time to be spent on 3D asset. Sorry, I'm bad because I know that it's a lot. It's a big discussion, like it's a serious subject. But what I want to think is that this is a possibility. So we need to be ready for this. Is that maybe we can just low poly think and add filters, AI challenging 3D real times, but with the CPU, GPUs that NVIDIA is coming for, I don't think this as an impossibility. And I'm thinking this also for XR. For example, you are like filming your with your headset, whatever, Orion or real time, whatever the hardware, you're just checking with your glass around your environment. And at this stage, the same environment changing, but for like secure situation or like another, changing the world by just completing and watching in real time, and a layer of AI changing
Mm.
because of the font you added,
Mm.
and I don't think it's impossible, to be honest.
Mm.
So I think that will be also that's why the scope is large again, but is accessibility and what is possible today, what is pricing again, like let's go back a bit quickly to pixel streaming.
Hmm.
um, I mean, the problem we have today is not the whole ecosystem, because the ecosystem is all very perfect, it's very good. The problem is the pricing,
Yes.
so we are like a startup R&D, or when do you want to scale a solution, or do you want to make a market fit product? Well, you need to ask yourself what I should do.
Yeah.
And that's why I also see a lot of people going to UGC platform,
Mm.
because I mean, and I love to play in UGC platform. I mean, we have few very interesting project on UGC platform, and the whole thing is ready. So you just come, you have the community and stuff, but it's a different thing, like what it's it's when you're like trying to design and create stories and stuff, you go where the people are, and and you use tools that will be able to share with the audience that you want to share with.
Yeah.
But yeah, UGC platform is interesting. WebGL is interesting with this AI companion. Pixel streaming is interesting. WebGPU because of this AI optimization as well. Like, I mean, I'm not talking about magic stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that I will make it myself. I'm just saying that maybe in 2, 3, 4 years, with Google Gemini, with Claude Sonnet, with even ChatGPT, or maybe some random people working in his garage, or China or whatever. I mean, we were talking about the big thing. Like we were talking about like the real revolution of the internet. Like it's becoming 3D. For the moment, not safe, but blockchain is coming. So that's the next big thing. So I believe that's why also that we have this big scope. But yeah, and again, WebGPU should be the next step of WebGL.
Hmm. Hmm. Now,
Because
or if we think about WebGL and WebGPU, they're kind of client-side real-time renderers. They render in the browser, and then you also said something really interesting that I'm thinking about now is how AI can sort of be added as an additional layer to a real-time renderer to do things like enhance, reduce latency,
yes.
and maybe some other benefits like that. If we see that kind of technology evolve, specifically AI, do you think it's still reasonable that we will evolve from WebGL to WebGPU? Um,
The question is, uh, when Chronos starting to work on WebGPU?
hmm,
At this stage where it's all started, did the AI was at this stage?
yes,
You know?
right.
So you told me this 3 years ago. I will tell you WebGPU is a future. And it is a futures. If it is, maybe it's just the evolution of the WebGL at some way. Like we see like Pokemon 1, Pokemon 2, and Pokemon 3 gonna be WebGPU with AI
Hmm.
and scalability on XR device.
Yeah, right.
I
Yeah.
mean, this is the way I see the thing. Like
Yeah.
evolution, like Darwin, very Darwin thinking. In some way.
Mm, right, right. Right. So yeah, so maybe it's a very tricky question to answer because things are evolving so quickly, you
I
know.
mean, yeah, we can right now we are like the 3 of April 2025. I can give you some answer about what is it about now, like, but I think it's more interesting to see where we go in the 1 year, like should
Yeah.
like interesting is like, I mean, to be honest, I don't see a difference between like these 3 solutions because they have the same goal, you know, be able to share 3D immersive. Let's stop there. Experience on the web to have accessibility on different hardware.
Exactly.
Um, so if yeah, for me, I don't see competition. I see collaboration of ID and process to be able to do what they are made for.
Hmm. Hmm. Right, right. And picking the right tool for the right job. And there's not going to be one tool for all jobs. It's going to be,
Absolutely. Exactly. So that's always also starting with the story. You won't share. Like you this and this. Now you like to have. That way is important to understand. So why is more expensive there, and but also what is delivery. Like what is offering. Like this thing gonna deliver this, so it's gonna be maybe for a smaller project, museum project, maybe architecture project. This one need to be like a publicity advertising that's scaling to 2 millions because you're gonna be on the Super Bowl. Well, bro, pills don't go on pixel streaming because you're gonna be. I mean, try if you want. um, I mean, maybe like again, this is from the now. I really believe everything will moving very fast now. Again, it's not just about speaking about AI because it's a trend. It's speaking about it because it's making every kind of infrastructures and starting with the digital change the way they optimize the system. And system optimization allow to better performance. And
Right.
yeah, so that kind of just a logic thing. Now it's when and how, but I think the true question is, how do we positioning pixel streaming, WebGPU, WebGL, you know, to the market? You know, it's like it's depending of, again, what do you want to say. So like it's more like about marketing, like kind of naming, positioning challenge at this stage,
Right.
because, but again, it's an evolution. You know, pixel streaming is different. I would say pixel streaming is different because it's also need to come from, I mean, everything comes in infrastructures, but it's more like closed infrastructures. You know, for me, pixel
Hmm.
streaming is more closed.
Hmm.
When web is web.
Right.
You
Right.
know, with everything that is bringing, you know,
Hmm.
is problem, but also APIs connection, whatever. I mean, can do both, but you know, like it's still the web. Pixel streaming is a link of a server's data shared to the web.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's rendered on the backend server. So it's yeah. It's very, very different in that way. Um, and why are people and I know, we're using browsers mostly because of accessibility. Everyone has an internet browser, so it's super, super easy to share these 3D experiences. Why do you think people are attracted to 3D experiences in the first place? Or why are these so important and why are these so important?
Interactivity.
Yeah.
You know, like people scrolling, watching, scrolling,
Yeah.
watching. And I find myself like lost in hours like that sometimes. You know, like I'm like just having a long day sitting and like, I just have a seat and I scrolling for 1 hour. Mm, to be honest, like they have a difference between having a super cool adventures like you're playing video games and stuff like that because you know you're playing video games.
Right.
But basically we are bored of scrolling. Maybe we can, you know, reduce this scrolling process to like be more like not just this way, but maybe this way and this way
Right.
and this
Right.
way, and that, you know, maybe like the 3D perception of the object, you know, like because like just I'm like it feels primitive, you know, to be honest.
Yeah.
So like I feel like 3D is more engaging, of course, but also is more stimulating, you know, like so it will make you more comfortable with what you see, you know. And again, we are not asking to people to go play an MMORPG on a super red, whatever, fighting super big thing. And it can be, but just changing the little thing, you know, it's a good beginning.
Yeah. And I love that you said it's comfortable because the physical world, is three dimensions of space, one dimension of time. And if we mirror that in the virtual world, I think it's a little more intuitive and comfortable because this is what we've grown up with and we know how to think in space and time. And so if we match that in the virtual world, it's a little bit more comfortable.
I, I, I don't know about comfortable, but I will mostly say, you know, we're coming in a time where most of the people have been playing one times video games.
Hmm.
From Sims to Age of Empires, from World of Warcraft to maybe some fun games.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, the scope can be very large from different type of game. But basically know how to evolve in this world. You know, um, I figure out that if you try to make it look real, sometimes it becomes boring.
Hmm.
The real world is enough great. You don't need a second fake world.
Right.
You
Right.
just need a cool. You just need a cool experience, you know.
Right.
And so basically, if you understand that people have been growing and understand how to evolve and how to connect with this lighting thing and how to evolve in the 3D world, or by good UI and UX, you can make this experience smooth, you know, and using the hardware in the good way that you bring the user where, you know, you want to bring him, or like, you know, so I think that's an important point that a lot of project miss, to be honest. Like
Mm.
it's like you're with your phone basically, or you're with your computers, let's say, but it needs to be, you know, you don't want to come with this. I feel like this because when we're building games on Roblox, for example, and for kids, and I see a big difference than when you starting building kids game for like people around 18 and 13. Like these people just like to have, okay, I come, oh, here's the mission, and here's the thing. Okay, so I need to understand a bit where I am and stuff.
Mhm.
When you see younger generation, it's just like, yeah, I'm running. I need to click, 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 and that make whole different ways you build the experience. To be honest, because they are not the same beginnings. They are not the same message. Like some people, some young kids want everything now and just click because they don't really understand. But you need like to make every try. When older people just like, okay, I need to understand. So this is for this and that. So it's really a different thing. But this is fascinating to see how people do use 3D with their different age, mindset, goal, and stuff. And again, so if you're talking about marketing activation or publicity activation, or like somewhere you want to catch attention and bring it to you, then you need to be fluid and more like just not like the real world, but more like I bring you tools somewhere. When I believe that if you want to go for something more technical, maybe you need like, hello, you're welcome. You are here, and now we are going to, like an AI avatar is talking to you. Are we back to AI? Sorry. An AI avatar is talk to you and bring you into the space. So 3D is a very large. Like I read a post on LinkedIn about a guy say, well, gaming is not like it's so big. Like gaming is like MMORPG, FPS, RTG is like like all the scope, mobile game and stuff. So I believe when we speak about 3D immersive experience event, it's like so large,
Yeah.
is that so many possibilities, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, and you're right. The older demographics, older age groups prefer much simplified experiences, like a point and click, and they click somewhere and then they move to that place and then there's something to interact with, or it just appears so they don't have to interact with anything. But people, like us that grew up with games, we're more attuned to WASD. We know how to navigate a 3D space, and so you have two 3D spaces, but the UX is very, very different, based on who's actually using it. Um, and I remember when the pandemic happened, there was a lot of the, virtual events appearing, and they literally just recreated a conference space, which is like the
Yes.
most boring thing in the world. And it could have been anything. You could have made it whatever you
Exactly.
want.
No, but I mean, I mean, like it was like how to be serious, and this wave was like automatically like I feel like it was coming from a lot of maybe company or consultancy or whatever, corporate things that say,
Yeah.
well, we're gonna bring something serious because we're in a pandemic. We don't know how long we're gonna stay here. So maybe we're gonna need to build like a real world, you
Yeah.
know. And bro, this is scary. I mean, I said this because we try a lot of things, build the real world, but people don't want this, to be honest. Like I don't see any people that they, yeah, I want to. I mean, I want to live inside a twin of the reality. Like it's full. I mean, it's complex. Why? Because, for example, take the example of digital twins. I truly believe in this because of with blockchain and with all infrastructures with EOT to be able to manage and anticipate and to build simulation and stuff like that. And with much more use case, but it will make people save a lot of money from and so I really believe in this industry. But the only problem is that at this stage, infrastructures of EOT system are too less. So we need to grow our EOT system and to be able to manage more data. But I know Omniverse, NVIDIA working on this kind of thing. Pretty interesting, very expensive, 250K, I think, for the license.
Mm.
Sorry, in. I
Yeah.
mean, but that, it's really cool. But where to come back is that, like it's like in real life. What make people want to stay? So if you're like just walking and, oh, hello, my name. No, I mean, it need to be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It depends on the goal as well. It depends because I don't know. For example, I have a real question because I see some project going out like this, and to be honest, personally, I don't know if I. I mean, I know that I will like it, but I don't know how much I will like it and until when. So, for example, we're taking like back to, I mean, I love spatial where they go and stuff, but back to like where we was doing mating in spatial. So I
Hmm.
know that they have Skype, they have like, like all of this platform. And what about the social professional platform? I know that this is something trendy and this is really cool, but I just don't know if I will truly really use it in a way of working, because I have many tab in my computers, I'm watching my phone. So I'm curious to say, and I have my WhatsApp and my and my LinkedIn and my other thing. So I don't know how, if it another complexity layer, depending, but maybe something where you need like to have real-time meeting for 1 hours, where you need to show piece of real production thing.
Mm.
So WebXR maybe something, like where like we have this all day full normal meeting, but I have 30 minute, 1 hour or 2 hours meeting in like it's going to be immersive because I need to see the new piece for the boat in India or whatever. I take in my headset, or maybe I can even follow this into the screen, and here we go, like, hey, but to be all the time in this, no, I don't think so. It's again, it's depending of what you want to show.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, and for example, a lot of B2B applications are digital twins, and in that case, it makes sense to maybe pixel stream because there's less users that actually access it, and they typically have huge, gigantic data. It could be an entire building or an entire city, and you need to be able to visualize that entire city. And since there's fewer number of users, maybe pixel streaming makes more sense in kind of like a B2B digital twin sort of setup.
Yeah, I mean, that I think that's one of the best use cases, to be honest.
Yeah.
For pixel streaming is a B2B thing.
Yep.
It should make, and it's also super cool because it's bypassing hardware performance, and also, like, we need to think about the physics part when you deliver this kind of thing. Like, you have a specific people that don't have I mean, like, you don't gonna sell all the day to big corporate and thing.
Right.
So if you deal with them, happy for you. This is cool, they have enough money, maybe you can fix the project and stuff. But what is going to be mostly your business is going to be around maybe a middle company, like that, working in specific industry, so whatever, retail, so whatever, but they need to come up with a specific use case where it's going to be like, I'm using this tool to be able to presenting, or to be able to sell, or to be able to project, or to be able to solve. But I don't need to scaling this to a way of going to B2C. And on the
Exactly.
same time, sometimes I have the hardware, but sometimes I'm going to my client, I have my Quest 3, and I want to share my pixel streaming content, and it is working. It's still a bit laggy, but it's working.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
but this isn't process. This isn't process. But I'm a true believer in this. I mean, Comet Experience, one of the studio I was working with, was, I mean, one of Antoine and ECU was a lot of working on this R&D thing, and this is very interesting because it was a real use case. This is like, we have these people that managing um, this school, and they want eye rendering for educate people and stuff. So we use pixel streaming to bring to the 3D headset, to the Quest 3 headset
Mm.
of Meta, and it was working well. Like, because they have a good cloud, but they wasn't want PC, PC VR gaming. Like, so
Right.
that's also because they was moving and they was going from school to school, or like different people, different, like, so if you want mobility, accessibility, and you don't want to have like super hardwares, for example, if you want to make people be able to sell super high definition of the future project of this mall or whatever, well, if you use like a super cool rendering made on Unreal Engine where you can change everything in real times, you want to go to XR, to VR, and almost to the screen, well, Pixel Streaming is perfect for this.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's working very well. It's just about scalability. It's
Yep.
about pricing, and the I mean, it was, because when it was 0.5, now it's going a little bit down, and so this is very good because it can offer new opportunity.
Exactly. Exactly. And, the more technology evolves, like you said, the cleaner the energy gets, the better AI gets, the better GPUs get. It's just going to naturally go down and down and down.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I can't believe it. We're already at our half hour. Nicholas, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to chat with me today. It's been a true pleasure. I've learned a ton. Is there any other information you'd like to share, or maybe if people watching this, if they'd like to get in touch with you, anything you'd like to mention before we sign off?
No, I mean, let's continue to build.
Let's
Builder
continue.
always build.
Always build.
That's something important.
Love that. Nicholas, thank you again. And we
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. I'm Quentin Anderson. This has been Real Time Talk with Eagle 3D Streaming. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you on the next show. Thanks, Nicholas.
Ciao. Bye bye.
All right. See you later.